They would be the ones that are Kendall.
They would be.
She will.
I'm busy.
I'd like to call to order the public hearing on the 2002 county budget. It is 7 minutes after 7, December 3rd, 2001. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to introduce our legislators. I'm Celine Paquette, Area 1 and Chairperson of the Finance Committee. And to my right is Sandron Lee from Area 2, Legislator John Gallagher from Area 9, in the back row, Legislator Joe Giroux from Area 3, and Legislator Jackie Walker from Area 8. To my left is County Administrator and Budget Officer Bill Bingo, Legislator Robert Hines, Area 10, Legislator Sarah Bowden, Area 4, Legislator James Langley, and Chairperson of the County Legislature, Area 7, Legislator Bob Butler, Area 6, Legislative Assistant Michael Zerlo, and Legislator Keith Defiant, Area 5. I will ask Mr. Bingo to read the notice of the public hearing.
Notice is hereby given that the Clinton County Legislature will meet in the legislative chambers on the second floor, 137 Margaret Street, Plattsburgh, New York, at 7 p.m. on Monday, December 3rd, 2001, for the purpose of holding a public hearing on the 2002 tentative budget for Clinton County for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2002. Further notice is hereby given that copies of said budget have been available since Monday, November 26th in this office, where said budget could be inspected or procured by any interested person during normal business hours. Pursuant to Section 359 of the county law, the maximum salaries that may be fixed and payable during said fiscal year to members of the Clinton County Legislature and chairperson thereof respectively are specified as follows. Salary, members of the legislature, $12,500, which remains unchanged. Chairperson, $15,000, which also remains unchanged. By order of the county legislature, dated Plattsburgh, New York, the 20th day of November, 2001.
Thank you, Mr. Bingo. I just have a few remarks to make before we invite speakers. The Clinton County Legislature has prepared a budget for the year 2002 with appropriations totaling $89.2 million, which compares to the 2001 amount of $86 million, or an increase of $3.2 million, or 3.7%. Revenues for 2002 are $71.5 million, an increase over the 2000 adopted budget revenues of $400,000, which equates to 0.5%. The 2000 tentative tax levy is $17,714,231, which represents an increase in the adopted 2001 levy of $2,833,228. The county cost of Medicaid included in the tentative budget for 2002 is $11,073,000, which represents an increase of $1,176,334, or 11.9%. This $11.1 million represents 62.5% of the total tax levy in the tentative budget. Clinton County is faced with various revenue decreases in 2002, which we have little control over. This includes a $322,114 loss in CHIPS revenue, a $211,671 loss in nursing home IGT revenue, and a loss of jail revenue of $350,000, just to name a few. Now I'll read the guidelines for our public hearing this evening. The purpose for a public hearing is to allow an opportunity for the legislature to listen to comments, input, or suggestions from county residents, department heads, or contract agency personnel. We will follow much the same format that we have in previous years, in that I will recognize persons wishing to speak in the order in which they registered at the reception desk this evening. Those individuals who did not have an opportunity to register and wish to address the legislature will be recognized in an orderly fashion by the chair after all registered speakers are finished. If you have a prepared statement, I would ask that you leave a copy with me after your presentation. I would ask that each individual clearly state their name and address. Speakers are asked to refrain from personal attacks on persons in the audience or members of the legislature. Presenters will be asked to make their statements brief and to the point so that everyone who wishes to do so has the opportunity to speak. I would remind the audience that the legislature is here to listen to the comments tonight and not to debate. However, any legislator is welcome to comment on particular budget items at any time. At the conclusion of the public hearing, I will poll members of this legislature to determine whether or not we will find it necessary to meet again prior to the scheduled adoption of the budget on December 12th. I would remind everyone that this budget can be amended any time prior to the vote on December 12th. Okay, we will start with our registered speakers here. Our first one is Kit Booth.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, as you all probably know, I'm here to represent the Battle of Plattsburgh Commemoration Committee. To ask that you give consideration to the following thoughts regarding the possible funding of our efforts for the year 2002. First of all, we're a committed group of about 40 volunteers who work year-round to produce for our neighbors throughout the county and beyond an educational and entertaining weekend of commemoration of the Battle of Plattsburgh. We're in our 5th year this year, and nearly all of us have been active right from the very beginning and have invested hundreds of hours in this project each year. We develop a program, and we also have to find the money to produce it. We don't ask for total support from taxpayer expense. Last year, the city and the county combined to support about 35% of our budget, while we independently raised the other 65% from other sources, private sources, corporations, individuals, and so forth. Over 61% of the money that we spend to get talent and provide the program for our weekend goes to local people and local organizations. There's a multiplier effect here in these funds that is equal to several times the $43,000 that we spent to the local people last year. I don't know what that multiplier is, but I know it's several times the $43,000 that we spent. According to the Chamber of Commerce figures, a busload of visitors spending a night or two in the community spends an average of $185 per person per day. It's only December 3rd, and we already know of 250 people who are planning to be here in just 3 groups that are coming next year to the Battle of Plattsburgh weekend. They would be expected to spend over $36,000 per day. Most will be in the area for 2 or 3 days. So just these 250 visitors that will be coming here should impact the area in somewhere around $100,000 worth of spending. And that's up from 5 years ago when there was nothing. So I think we've done a little bit to make all that happen as a group of volunteers. And finally, we're putting Plattsburgh on the map year after year with growing significance. It's not just that our event is growing each year, but what we do is bound to have a positive effect on the efforts of the Battle of Plattsburgh Association, which is aiming to establish an historic campus on the old base, and I'm sure you all know that. And when this develops, the reputation of Plattsburgh as an historic destination will add greatly to the economy of the whole region. It isn't just the city of Plattsburgh. The county will enjoy increased sales tax revenues. The business community will enjoy more trade. The reputation of the area will be enhanced. It seems to me to be a win-win situation. So we're asking that you, ladies and gentlemen, pause for a moment in your deliberations to think of what good the Battle of Plattsburgh commemoration can do for all of us, both this year and in the future. And we hope that you can reconsider us in your final budget and perhaps find a way to support our efforts with at least a good faith contribution this year, indicating your approval of what we're doing and what we're trying to make happen for the community. Thanks very much for your time. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I'm sure you don't. And thank you.
Thank you. Gary Vancourt.
Good evening. Thank you very much for allowing us to speak. I've never spoken before a legislative group before, and I'm here to reinforce what Ruth just said about the Battle of Plattsburgh Committee and weekend. I live in the town of Beacontown. Many of us are not city residents. The Battle of Plattsburgh was not just a battle in Plattsburgh. It involved most of the entire county. The commemoration, as the years have gone by, has expanded, and we hope to include more parts of the county as the representing the army that did march from Canada to Plattsburgh and then, of course, return. Kit already presented extremely well the different facets and features of the weekend. I'm one of those volunteers that spend hundreds of hours, and also have been working with the Battle of Plattsburgh Association in trying to bring the museum that you referred to. I would just like again to reinforce, reiterate, plead with you to reconsider and not look at whatever you contribute to the group as a donation to the arts and to history and to culture as it is, but also as an investment because of the economic impact that it does have. And the more that we have, the more we can do, the more we can generate, not only an interest in Battle of Plattsburgh, but also in the economy and the payback that comes when people come to see the commemoration and the activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Walter Conley.
Yeah, my name is Walter Conley. I live at 70 Staley Avenue in the city of Plattsburgh for the past 30 some odd years. I'm a senior citizen, retired, and I'm looking at my increase for the coming year at 2.6%. At 2.6% does not buy very much when you start putting it on top of maybe $1,000. So I'm asking you to reconsider the increase that you have. It not only affects the senior citizen, but there are many, many organizations in our area who pay taxes, among them the Knights of Columbus. Many of those councils are struggling to pay their taxes. The people that are volunteering to do the fundraising, etc., are having a hard time. There's no younger generation following in our shoes. So again, I ask you to reconsider your large increase. I know it's a job to put a budget like this together, but certainly there must be a little bit you can take out of there to reduce it and allow us seniors to live on a comfortable increase that we have. Thank you.
Fred Smith.
Chairperson Paquette, members of the legislature. My name is Fred Smith. I live in fashionable downtown Shazy, and I am chairman of the board of the Clinton Essex Franklin Library System and a member of the Shazy Library. With me today are Cerise Silverman, who is also a trustee, Mary Brown, the director of the Clinton Essex Franklin Library System, and Ann Minter O'Donnell, who is the director of the Plattsburgh Public Library. I have appeared here before and said thank you, and the nonverbals have been quite interesting. It's like, what's he doing? I understand that most people come here to plead for increases, but we in the system very much appreciate what you have done to support the libraries in Clinton County. Our income is a fixed income. The majority of our support comes from the state of New York. Obviously, there will be no increase in that this coming year and probably for 3 or 4 years to come. Like your situation, our retirement and health insurance costs increases in 2002 by $37,000. Our revenue does not increase. So that means there will have to be cuts in other areas, and that we will have to tap a fund balance which has been reserved for capital projects. There are 8 libraries in rural Clinton County. The average annual budget for this year for those 8 libraries approximates $20,000 for the year. Not one of those libraries has a professional librarian. Obviously, with an annual total budget of $20,000, one of those libraries could not afford a professional librarian. Therefore, the services and the support of the library system are absolutely critical to the survival of these 8 libraries in Clinton County, in rural Clinton County. These libraries, with few exceptions, have been here for close to 100 years and are a critical part of the fabric of these small rural communities. While we say thank you, we also hope that you would give consideration to restoring our allocation at the same level that we received last year. It was in the mid-1850s that Henry Ward Beecher said, "Libraries are not a luxury, but an important necessity of life." That is as true today as it was 150 years ago. We thank you very much for your support and look forward to coming back next year to say thank you again.
Legislative Gallo?
Chair, I was under the impression that we had reinstituted that and brought them back last year. Correct.
Right back to
Oh, okay.
last year.
Okay, I didn't see that. Okay, thank you.
Sarah Anderson?
Good evening, Madam Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sarah Anderson, and I'm the Executive Director for Hospice of the North Country, and I reside in West Shazy. And I'm here tonight to thank you for your past support of hospice, and to also ask you to urge you to reconsider a decision that you recently made to eliminate hospice from your budget for the coming year. I know that money is tight, and I know that you have put a lot into this process. And but I think that you're all well aware the enormous impact that hospice has had on the lives of practically everyone here, I'm sure, has had impacted by hospice. It has been known for years as an agency that gives 200% of itself. It goes and does a type of job that most can't. Now, a lot of people think that because we have a reimbursement structure with Medicaid and Medicare and private insurance, that we wouldn't need some of this funding, or how crucial is it? It's very crucial, ladies and gentlemen, because our reimbursement structure simply is not adequate to meet the kind of care that we give. What do I mean by that? When the Medicare hospice benefit was developed in the around 1980, they developed it to have to be all-inclusive in a capitated rate. So a patient comes into hospice, and at this point in time, we get approximately $105 a day, and that must cover everything. And what do I mean by everything? I mean, it must cover 2 to 4 hours of home health aid time per day, all the medications, all the morphine, all the very expensive medications, which we do use to relieve the suffering. And at this point in time, as you all know, the cost in pharmaceuticals has skyrocketed. That cost in the Medicare benefit, Medicaid follows suit, was established at approximately $2.50 is what the lawmakers thought we would be spending. Well, we're not. We're spending on an average at least $14 a day. You can see what that would be, the difference when you have 8,000 patient days. Our expenses are growing. Everyone knows that healthcare is a difficult arena in which to work. But when the benefit was devised, and out of this $105 comes all the visits for the nurses, the home health aides, the social worker, the chaplains. Sister Mary Ann Gore is our bereavement coordinator, and bereavement is not included at all in the insurance. No insurance covers, well, one private insurance does cover some visits, but we are mandated by law to remain with our families for 13 months. And we would do that whether or not we were mandated, because that's our signature. We go and we help people through the grief process. But that's not covered at all. How do we make it up? Well, you know, you see hospice all around. We have lots of campaigns. We are constantly fundraising. United Way helps us out, and we are grateful for every single penny. But I can tell you that it is, even though it is not a huge amount, I guess as the world turns, for us it is very significant, and we don't want to see that evaporate, because it's frightening as your costs go up to see your base of support also go down. So I guess with that, I would close and ask you to please reconsider this. I know when we put our budget together, because of the escalating pharmacy costs, we asked for $10,000, which is $5,500 more than you have been accustomed to giving it to us. And of course, when we got the news that we were not in the budget, I immediately thought, oh, it's because we asked for too much. And I'm perfectly willing to go back to last year rather than to be totally eliminated. It just, we really do need your support. We operate in a deficit, and the only way we come close to making up that deficit is with all our support in place and our fundraising going full guns. So I hope you will reward this little agency for the very good work that it does, and keep us in your budget. Thank you.
Noel Stewart?
Madam Chairman, my name is Noel Stewart, and I live at 8 Moore Drive in Cleveland, New York. And I'm also the Secretary of the Clinton County Historical Association. I am here to express our appreciation for maintaining your portion of our budget at its current level. We would appreciate more, but I'm here primarily to thank everyone here for your ongoing support. We, as an organization, are continuing to gain momentum, and we're looking forward to entertaining new initiatives, which include displaying and interpreting artifacts raised from the Battle of Valcour. We're also looking to have the Valcour Lighthouse open with an established schedule in the summer of 2002. These are some of the things that we are working on, and we're also we're also developing the Sailor Warren House and continuing to move that project forward to enable us to have a meeting place and to display artifacts that pertain to the Saley family and also other artifacts that pertain to the history of Clinton County. So again, we thank you. We ask you for your continued support as our organization continues to grow and become more of an asset to the county and provide service to our constituents and our visitors. Thank you.
John LaPlante.
Good evening. My name is John LaPlante. I'm from the town of Eatontown. And I'd like to address the legislature on the Medicaid increase. Last year, the Medicaid part of the county budget was roughly 57%. This year, we're looking at 60+%. And last year, the tobacco settlement, the county was very eager to spend that money and pave roads and build bridges, less than desirable results. In the past year, gas prices have fluctuated anywhere between $1.23 a gallon up to $1.72 a gallon. And I contend that somewhere in that 45% price range, that the county could have instilled a 2 or 3 cent tax to cover the bridges and highways, and take the tobacco settlement money and put it to defray the Medicaid cost to where it belongs, which it was intended for in the first place. It's a health-related issue, and that's where the money belongs. And I'd like you to look into that a little further, to use a little bit more gas tax, because next week, gas will be $1.40 or $1.18. Nobody knows where it's going to be. So 2 cents here and there would not be noticed. A 13.6% increase in taxes, that's noticed. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Sharon Chain.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, fellow legislators. I come as a private citizen. I live at 18 Trumbull Avenue, Plattsburgh, and I also come as an employee of a private manufacturer here in the area, which happens to be Schoenbeck Worldwide Lighting. I have worked for Schoenbeck for 28 years, and I feel that the manufacturers in the area are probably one of your biggest tax bases, and yet they are facing competitive issues which are worldwide. We are one of the few manufacturers left in the United States for decorative lighting that are completely a manufacturer. We compete with China, with low-cost countries all over the world, and it's very competitive. We have done jobs we just finished the palace for the King of Malaysia. We now have secured a contract for the Netherlands to do the Hague. They're redoing the Hague. So we are a worldwide concern. But with a 13% tax increase, private businesses in the area, I feel, are being squeezed. And my employer does not know I'm here. I'm doing this on my own because I feel that this is a big issue for Clinton County. You have Bombardier, you have many different private businesses that provide a huge tax base in Clinton County. And we just had to have a small layoff at Schoenbeck. We are doing very well in spite of that. But our employees face also health costs. We pay a percentage of our health care. When I retire, I will pay my own Medicare premiums. Many private businesses have to do this to stay competitive, even though they're a wonderful employer. And I guess what I would like the legislature to look at is The private businesses face competition too, and it's very brutal. And in order to stay a complete manufacturer in the United States, you have to be ahead of the game all the time, which includes high technology. That's the only way that we stay ahead from the low wages. You know yourself how many manufacturing companies are taking all of their jobs for production overseas, and what you have left. And this is why I feel that 13.6% is probably too high, and maybe there could be some place where it could be cut. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, I didn't get this lady's name.
Sharon Chaney.
Walt Lashwood?
My name is Walt Lashley, and I live at 8 Stratton Place, Plattsburgh, New York. Walt Conley brought up about the senior citizens, so I'm just going to use myself as an example. I've been retired for 12 years. I bought the house in 1973, and I paid $10,000 for it, and I borrowed $50,000 to remodel it. And I'm on fixed income now. And at city taxes and at county taxes, it's going to take more than the 2% we're getting from Medicare. Or, yeah, Medicare. Medicaid. Health insurance cost me $4,200 total for the two of us. I mean, it's pretty hard to keep things going, you know. So I hope you could do something for the seniors or anybody over 70 years old, or get a discount or something. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. John Wallace?
I'm John Wallace, Clinton County Sheriff. I live in beautiful downtown Peru, New York. I'm also a senior citizen, so I don't know if I dare to ask for anything here. Everything gets slashed in my budget, including the meat slicer, no pun intended, but that got cut. But on a serious note, there's a couple of things I wanted to bring out tonight. Back in June of this year, after studying the problem we had at the jail and the large turnover of personnel, myself, along with John Gallagher, the chairman of the Personnel Committee, and the chairman of Keith, the chairman of the Public Safety Committee, and Mr. Langley and a few other folks, come up with a reasonable solution to stop the bleeding and the hemorrhaging of the folks that you hire out there and train and lead for other agencies. And that was to reduce my deputy force by 5, give me 2 correction officers for each one at the end of the year, at budget time, give me 5 more. That was agreed upon by Mr. Gallagher, the other folks that I just talked about. On the 10th of August, I sent a memorandum to Mr. Gibson, Director of Personnel, and to Mr. Gallagher. I'll just read it to you quickly. It says, as a result of the action taken by the Personnel Committee, the legislator in this office, it was agreed to reduce the deputy sheriff force by 5 positions and increase correction positions by 15 in order to facilitate operation of the jail solely with correction personnel. To achieve this objective for each deputy leaving employment, the position is being reclassified to correction officer and 1 new correction officer position is being created. This will continue until 5 deputy positions have been eliminated to attrition and 10 correction positions have been added. It was also agreed that 5 additional correction positions will be included in the 2002 budget. Please find enclosed a request to create the new positions, blah, blah. My end of the deal has been completed as at the end of this month, I will have lost the 5 deputies. The last one means at the end of this month to go to Harrison. I will then appoint 2 positions to fill that, and that leaves the 5 positions we talked about still pending. 3 of those positions, new positions, have been allocated in this budget. 2 have not. Can I live with 2 less correction officers? The short answer is yes. Can I keep my end of the bargain and say I will cut the overtime by 50%, as I said I would in writing to you folks? That's a little bit more iffy. That's one issue. The second issue is cars. There's a number of vehicles out there at the department, cars, four-wheel drive, and full of other things that we use. Some are paid for by other agencies. For example, the landfill vehicle is paid for by the land folks out there. Stop BWI cars paid by the funds from Stop BWI. Last year, and years, correction, prior to last year, my understanding was that the legislators approved 2 new cars for the sheriff's department each year. That kept the fleet up to reasonably good condition. Last year, you slashed one of my vehicles. I got 1. This year, you slashed them both. I'm down 3. 2 for next year will be 5. I can't imagine getting 5 new vehicles. No, I don't know if I'd have nerve enough to put in for 5 vehicles next year. So what's doing is eroding our equipment and our vehicles. I think this is not good business management. In short term, maybe for saving $1, but long term, I think it's going to cost us money. We're going to be spending more in repairs. The vehicles out there are high mileage, not as safe, and sometimes they have to be driven in adverse conditions. And I'm asking at least if you could give me 1 car this year. I understand the problem you have, believe me, but you know, you still can't let everything fall to pieces to save $1 this year, because next year it's going to come back and haunt you. I'm asking that you reinstate 1 car in this year's budget, and it'll help the fleet somewhat. Thank you very much.
Clark Forrester.
Madam Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen of the legislature, thank you for this forum. I don't envy you your task. There's a tremendous amount of need here tonight. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about maybe one way that we can return something back to you. And that is, as the president of Champlain Valley Family Center, I'm here tonight with our executive director, Connie Willey, and we're talking to you because that portion of our budget that comes from the county, $13,500, is being proposed for complete elimination. That $13,500 is matched by the OASAS state budget and provides us the $27,000 that we so desperately need to help provide service to our county people in need of drug rehabilitation. And also education. National surveys tell us that every dollar we spend on education and substance abuse rehabilitation saves the community 7 times as much money in decreased cost of incarceration, legal action, and medical expense. So I'm here to ask you to please reconsider the $13,500, because when you double it and multiply it times 7, the savings in possible expenses to our area is $189,000. So we'd like to propose that the savings that we might be able to help you with require the money that you're talking about cutting. So please reconsider that Champlain Valley Family Center desperately needs that money. We very much appreciate the dilemma before you. We don't have solutions for you to come up with additional money, except that maybe we can help save you some. And we appreciate your time.
Do we have any unregistered speakers that would like to? Yes.
Good evening. I think most all you people all know me. I've been here so many times. I run the conservation building at the Clinton County Fairgrounds. We have a very extensive hunter training program for the seniors and the children in this area. After the completion of our shooting range up there, we have entertained right now, signing up the 200 youngsters in this area who want to learn the proper use of a firearm and how to shoot. I have qualified instructors who, the remainder of their time, they're all qualified by the NRA. But our budget this year has been cut. I have to have money to heat that building, pay the lights, and the insurance on there. I'm trying to keep these children happy, teach them the right way to handle a firearm, and be respected out there in the field when they go out hunting with their fathers or mothers are by themselves. I don't want to see them running wild on the street with a firearm. I want to show them the satisfactory way to handle a gun. But I need the money. I know we've been cutting the budget this year. I appreciate any help you can give us so I can keep this building going up there and keep the entertainment and the education going and our 100 training program. I know it's quite a lot to ask, but I'll take any money you can give me to help out, because I have to heat that building, keep these children in that school. Thank you.
Could you give us your name, Rick?
Clayton DeLon.
Thank you.
I thought you all know me by now.
Well, just in
Well,
case
you owe
someone
you by
didn't.
red.
Brad or Colt, I don't care.
Anyone else who did not register to speak? I will now ask the legislators if we need an additional meeting or have a motion to place the budget on the agenda for December 12th.
Madam Chairman, I would like one additional meeting at least.
Anyone else feel that way?
I would
Legislator
like
Rowden also?
I think
Legislator
in
Fine?
consideration of people that were here tonight and hearing their plight, that we owe it to them to at least meet and see if there's anything we can do. No promises, but certainly at least take a look at things.
Any other feelings or anyone else? Do you
I'd like to
agree?
see a second
Yeah,
meeting
consensus.
also, Madam Chairman.
Okay, so we all agree. Do we have a date, Mr. Bickler?
I would suggest next Tuesday, following the government operations meeting. Since we are occupied every night this week.
Or could we meet after some of the meetings this evening, in case we give you an assignment to do? It doesn't give you much time if it's Tuesday. I don't know, I'm just throwing it out.
Is everybody reasonable to stay this evening for a while?
Like, can everyone stay this evening?
I have no problem with it, Madam Chairman.
We're here.
Okay,
As
Here, the information is fresh.
okay. So let's start this evening then. Okay. Yeah, you want to, Legislator
Motion
Gallagher,
to adjourn the public hearing?
Second.
seconded by Legislator Trombley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Brian, did you get that lit? You got my